Everybody, welcome to Lethal Sales. And tonight, our topic of discussion is AI. How are you using it? Is it part of something that you're selling? And a lot of us are here to learn. So let's start with Peter.
Oh, of course. Is
Yeah.
that because Larry's busy helping Elon? Uh, Like, come on. The person that we should be starting with, honestly, is either Wendy or Jeff Shear or Russell. They're all actively involved in AI. So is Mike Larkin. They're the people that we should be starting with.
Okay,
Gary,
fine. Let's start with Russell.
okay,
Oh my God.
put him on the spot. Look at him now. He's swirling.
Uh,
Well,
well,
Go
I
ahead,
knew.
tell us
Russell.
what you're
Gary,
doing.
Gary Silman and I will be in the back of the room with our abacus and sundial. We're
Yes. Well,
trying
I
to
do.
catch up.
First of all, AI has been around for like 80 years, believe it or not. Most people don't know that. I did an in-depth uh, uh, research on that, but it's integrated itself into every fabric of our lives today, whether we realize it or not. And the people that realize it and start learning as much as they possibly can, the easier the transition is going to be. And it's coming fast, whether you're ready for it or not. I actually think that Jeff probably knows much more about this than I do, but in Wendy. But I knew I dedicated myself when Christmas year before last, when I called Wendy and when she mentioned the human side of AI, and it's imperative. And I hear it in many other places, in many other rooms where people don't even know about the human side of AI in Clubhouse, but they temper everything that there's a human side and don't forget that. But it is gonna it's woven and weaving its way into every aspect of our lives. It surrounded us, but it's gonna distribution, parts, service, sales, um, our phones, our household, the things that we interact with the household. Some people think like you got chat and GPT and Copilot and all those AI tools, and they think like it's just going to make us weaker. It's going to our reasoning and thinking abilities. I just heard that tonight on the news. And it's like, no, I mean, we're going to be exercising other parts of our brain that we haven't used before. It's you. Look, I'm fixing to turn 66 years old, and I learn something every single day about AI. And it's like, uh, if not, it's going to be one of the greatest transference of wealth in history, probably in my lifetime. That's for sure. It's coming. It's coming fast. We're going to be America's going to be at the forefront, and we're going to have to stay in the forefront because it is a race right now in a big way. I welcome it with open arms. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, we use it in my company. I don't know much about it in the overall scheme of things. I do listen to people. I've learned more in the human side of AI room than all other areas that I'm involved in combined. That's what I
So
think. Huh?
sorry, Russell. I apologize. I was just to add to that. I thought you're completed, so please excuse
No,
my
no,
interruption.
please go ahead.
So I agree. AI is the internet of 2025, and the people who want to engage in it will
Hmm.
benefit from it. The people that are pushing away from it, saying it's a fad, are going to be lost, and they're going to lose that first first to market advantage that is out there. There is, if you don't recognize that 95% of LinkedIn posts that are out there today are used by are made with Chat GPT, then I'm sorry, you're just not seeing it. The other part of it is if you recognize that yourself, so does the algorithms. The algorithms are slowing you down by
Great.
using Chat GPT posts. So incorporate, as Wendy's room is, the human side. Incorporate it, turn around and take what chat gives you and then copyright it yourself. Go through it, change it, alter it, maneuver it.
Yep.
Take out the long hyphens that chat's in there. Take out delve, dive, all the words that chat uses. We all recognize it. We can say in the fast moving environment of retail automotive, that's a standardized word track that chat uses. Take
It is.
take it out of there because people recognize it. People recognize you're not doing it. You might be providing the prompts and you might be providing the information to use it, but take it out of there. Rewrite it. It gives you the opportunity to just go in it and say, rewrite it. You will get better engagement with it once you do that. So use the human side.
Yeah, I have one question that I would like some feedback on where my head is right now. With all the things that I'm seeing and hearing, we had this debacle the middle of last year that CDK had. Okay,
Correct.
and right now, I'm seeing a huge amount out of the ordinary mergers and acquisitions. And the reason I think that's happening is one, because of that, but data and AI. And that's why I think a lot of this jockeying and mergers and acquisitions. And I want to share one thing with you. And I wanted to know if you all think that as well. So I just had Brian Pash on my WTF, and I've known him ever since he got started in 2005 or six in the automotive side of things. But so we do business with the Morgan Automotive Group, and Mr. Morgan and Brian Pash about 5-6 months ago sat down and they issued a memorandum to any and all vendors that were integrated with anything to do with Morgan websites, etc. And in that memorandum was there was going to be some unified consistency, and it required 3 months on our part with programming and making sure that we delivered exactly what they want for full accountability. A lot of vendors couldn't keep up and they're out. And some of them said, F you, I'm not going to participate in this. But I think this is a sign of things to come with consolidation and accountability. And it all has to do with two things: data, clean data, and AI. And I wanted to find out what you guys thought.
Well, I'll give you a couple thoughts to that. I've had the pleasure of speaking with Brett a few times, and his intelligence is very, very high. And you understand, and one of the things that they understand is when you open yourself up to liability with data, you can effectively kill a company with a fine from the FTC. It doesn't matter how big the company is, you can kill it. We've seen fines. I saw a fine the other day of $42 million to a car dealership group in Chicago. $42 million. It was I think they were 14 rooftops. That effectively killed that company. The group that owns that company, the subgroup, is put it up for sale because they don't want the liability. They don't want to be attached to it. So data is immensely important for protectionism. The CDK and Techion today announced mutual lawsuits against each other. CDK is on that they own the data just like Reynolds, where Techion says the dealership owns the data, and because it's their data.
Yep.
Well, CDK and Reynolds are do it their way to protect and isolate themselves as the only point of liability. Whereas if you open up your data, you can really get it. You can drop the liability train on everybody. So it's a very tricky position for everyone to be in. Really, uh, do you want your data and open yourself up for liability, or do you want someone else to take that liability curve?
Hey,
So
Peter, can I throw something in here
Sure.
too? Um, I truly believe, and I think we all do, that we're going to have to be more careful and more involved because there's going to be a lot more holes in the ground to fall in or things we can use to move us forward. And let me give you an interesting example. I do David Long's recruiting. Been working with him for a couple years now. And when I place his ads, they're similar to most of the ads I do, but there's certain verbiage that has to be at the bottom because California, their regulations have regulations.
right.
But here's what's really interesting and a little scary, only in the sense that it's telling us that if you're not aware and you're not on top of it, you could be in for a problem. Uh, not name dropping, I happen to really like the guy. I've become very friendly with Ron Boss. I get him people. I go into his store and train him. For anybody that doesn't know him as well as I do, he's just a really good guy. And he was named as the president of NJ Car, and he went to an NJ Car meeting, and he called me up, and he said, "Larry, I want to shoot you something." And what it was new verbiage signed in by Governor Murphy, that is going to push them more in the direction of California, where there has to be a disclaimer in the ad spelling out a little bit more in more detail um, what the ad entails and what the parameters are. Now, everybody on the show is smart. We understand that this is not really to protect the consumer. It's really there to open dealerships up for liability, right? It's like cops having speed traps. It's not like all the crime is cured, but okay, we gotta write a certain amount of tickets. It's a quota. We need some stuff for the budget. So when you're dealing with government arms whose sole purpose is to go after us because they always figure we have the deepest pockets, more than ever, what Peter's saying, what's Russell's saying, is going to get deeper and deeper and deeper. Because truthfully, I never thought I'd see the day where New Jersey regulations would mirror or emulate California regulations. While they're both democratic states, I don't think anybody would argue that California, by every degree, is overregulated.
Yeah.
But we all know, right? Once these things start, it's hard to stop them. Things in motion tend to stay in motion. So if we're going to be in a situation where more and more people are going to be looking over our shoulder, we got to be more careful about what we do. We've got to be better prepared. And yet, Peter, even unsophisticated as I am, I can tell some of these things have been drummed up by Chat GTP.
Oh.
You can just tell looking at them, but that's where Wendy comes in.
Right.
Because Wendy's whole program is named beautifully, the human side of AI. If we can take the technology of AI and use it to be more expedient, to be more thorough, I'm afraid to tell you some of the programs Jeff Shearer has with where he's integrating robotic voices with human voices, and I swear you can't tell the darn difference. But I think we're going to have to be more careful. We're going to have to be more vigilant. I think Peter's 100% right. You're going to have more dealers take a beating. But I just think it'll force us to be sharper. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, Russell.
No.
But it's a terrible thing if you ignore it or act like it's not there. Mike, I don't know. I know you're mostly working behind your computer brilliantly, but Wendy's I believe, in more stores, and Silman's in a ton of stores. Gar, Wendy, am I lying? You walk into these stores with these massive fines that can be put down, and you still see driver's licenses laying on the table.
Or screens on with customer information in there that's clearly visible.
Yeah.
So with what I'm hearing you say, and what Peter said, back to my thoughts, but the question I had at the end, and I'd really like to hear from everybody, but do you believe, or is it something I think I'm seeing is not really there on mergers and acquisitions for a lot of the similar type reasons to protect and to use for future CDP and AI.
From
Well,
my perspective, and then I'll jump off, let everybody
Yeah.
else get in. I think it's definitely coming because listen, if you do something, you're all very smart, reasonable people, and we're all human, and occasionally we do something really stupid, or somebody tries to do something stupid to us. I think we all say, I'm not going to let that happen again. All right. Once bitten, twice shy.
Yeah.
But CDK hurt a lot of people. I know there's some remuneration and they're doing some things, but man, to have a dealer, COVID was bad enough, but to go a few years past COVID and all of a sudden your systems aren't working and you're paralyzed. And Russell, this is going to make you chuckle. Do you realize when we started leasing cars, you and me and Larkin, I know Silman, we didn't need a damn computer. We knew how to put the factors in and do it by hand. You shut off a computer now, you got 9 managers that couldn't do a lease if you paid them $1 million.
Yeah.
So all I think it's really going to do is force us to be smarter, to be more self-sufficient, to tie in with Wendy Reeves and take the human side of AI and tie it in. On the other hand, if you're one of these dinosaurs that refuses to grasp AI, I think you're going to get left behind. So it's an interesting conundrum. We have to get involved with it. And let's understand the concept of being sharper and more dialed in so that one of our competitors won't be. Jeff, what do you think, man? You know a whole lot more about AI than I do.
You know, the real gist of it is whoever owns the data owns the kingdom. And don't tell Trump that, Peter.
nah.
You know, and
You
Oh,
don't
wait a
have
minute,
to. He
Jeff,
already knows.
I'll
wait a
tell
minute, Jeff,
Elon.
before you
I'll
get
send
started.
Elon an email.
But Jeff, before you get started, and Silman's going to laugh at this too, think how many times we've gotten involved with a dealer and we're trying to shift them to a better platform. And the problem is the people they signed up with own their damn data.
that's right. And CDK is taken, and I was just researching this earlier today on a call with somebody, and they get $630 million announced January 25th.
Yep.
That they agreed to, 100 million August 2024. So, and now these are antitrust, but part of that is, they're still in business, right? And it wasn't really I don't think so much of a data leak as a breach, for CDK, but same thing. Whoever owns that data, and that's the whole Reynolds suit that they just settled, not sharing it with anybody. And that is just, it's freaking silly to me as someone who generates data for clients. I said, as long as you're current on your bills with me, you own the data and you can download it anytime you want. I'm not going to hold it hostage, but the real gist of it is control. And spin that any way you want, but that's what these companies are after. And Russell, to your point, the consolidation, well, Reynolds can absorb these lawsuits and CDK, where, is these third or fourth tier guys in the DMS systems don't have that pocket. So why do I want to take that risk? I got to weigh, because just like Peter said, man, and you get down to the dealership level, one class action lawsuit at a dealership, you can't survive it because your cyber insurance is only going to cover maybe $5 million, right? But it's, if it's $1,500 per violation and you have 200,000 customers in your database, which is probably a short figure, do the math. You can't survive it.
You're done. So again, back to consolidation.
Yeah. Is it happening? I've heard
Yes. Yes, it
inference.
is.
Okay.
I haven't been able to speak.
Oh,
Go ahead, Gary.
No, I'm sorry.
no, you're not. Go ahead.
I just drove up and down Route 1 in Milford, Connecticut, and the scurry of outside dealer groups trying to purchase dealerships in Connecticut is happening. Dealer groups are turning over. I heard there's two. I heard that there was a 6-store group that was they brought in partners. So that changed over rampantly. So it's happening fast. And it's the Nissan dealers also, with all of their problems, they're starting to get consolidated. I mean, there's 17 Nissan dealers in Connecticut. They don't need 17 Nissan dealers in Connecticut. And so they know that so that's going to happen. And you're seeing the consolidate. The panic is starting to hit.
Yeah, but Gary, thank you. You brought up something real quick because I'm ADHD and I'll forget it. Um, Hearing what you just said, that wasn't, I mean, I already see all that. The acquisitions and mergers I'm talking about is vendors getting bought up. And that's what I wanted to find out from all of you. Do you also see that going on too, so they can have more control of that data? Okay, that's what I was. Do you see that, Gary, by chance? Vendors being bought up.
Go ahead, Gary.
The VSC providers, they're scrambling to try to get stable, but I don't think I'm seeing that kind of consolidation. More of what I'm seeing is that dealers forgot how to run their businesses. And now leadership in these dealerships are starving for new help, but they don't know how to go about getting it.
So
that's what I see. I see a lot of debate. I went into a bunch of stores today trying to talk about compliance and talk about identity verification. And I got to tell you, no one cared. I was like, any interest in trying to do this up front? Wouldn't it think if you verified the identity and verified the insurance up front, you would have less chances of fraud, less chances of losing deals, less chances of doing all these things. And it was sad to say that the only people that I got good responses were people that I've known in the business, that you can explain it to them. But when you try to go into another store, they're just so negative. They're not allowed to listen. They're not allowed to learn. And the dealers are building big, beautiful dealerships and showrooms, and they're letting the inmates run the asylum, and they're not seeing from their glass towers all of the fraud, all of the deception, all of the bad deals going on in their showroom floor, because none of them go through a process and they don't verify the FTC red flags. Since 2003, I think, the dealers are supposed to verify identity. Not one of these dealers even cared about the FTC red flags. So it's kind of like the disconnect from the owners and dealers to what's happening on the floor is huge.
Nobody wants to talk about it because it's like, people don't want to talk about cancer because then I think I'm going to get it.
$8 billion of bank losses from synthetic identity theft.
Just say those three letters in the dealership, FTC, and watch all the puckers, right, Larry?
I've been talking.
So I'm just going to jump in here for 1 second. I'm going to answer Russell's question. Yes, mergers and acquisitions, consolidation amongst vendors is happening at a record pace. The reason why is that people cannot afford to operate their businesses anymore. The trade shows have gotten out of hand. Everything's going crazy. We cannot afford to be at a new event every single month. We can't do this. So once I'll take your company for example. How many you're in 400, 500 rooftops?
650 now.
650. Congratulations. You are on the radar for acquisition. You are on a buyout trail right now at anywhere from 10 to 25 to 50 times multiple, depending on your trajectory. That's where you stand. You are a diamond to someone because the pressure's off. You have the the target base that is necessary. You are at almost 5% of the actionable franchises out there. So once you hit that level, you are gold to someone. And the reason why is now you're on an organic rather than a paid boost. You're organically growing.
Yep.
They no longer have to invest. All they're going to get is return. They're going to get return. So yes, you are private equity. You are venture capitalists coming in and saying, okay, how fast can we build it in the next 5 years and exit again? That's what's happening, and
Right.
and they now it was never targeted before the automotive space because hell, who what was really out there? There was CRMs and DMSs and things like that, but not all the integral solutions that are out there today. At NADA, there was 700 vendors, 700, and it's growing every single year. And there was 190 vendors on the wait list to get a booth.
Oh my God.
And so
Peter.
you're almost 1,000 vendors now. There was never that amount of people 10 years ago. And with that, you're seeing consolidation of great products getting put together and then put together in there, like Call Review and Total CX merging. You're looking at big players that could merge together just to become a bigger play. Look at the acquisitions of what you call it, Cox. How many acquisitions is Cox buying every year?
Oh my God.
Yeah, they bought everybody.
They're just doing that. There's two reasons, and I'll give you the main reason. If you look at the food and beverage industry, and you look at the beer industry specifically, when a craft brewery gets too much market share,
They buy them.
they buy them, and they'll either do one of two things: they'll continue them or they'll shelve them, and they shelve them on purpose because at that point in time they're no longer competitors, and they're not losing market share.
Okay, so
And-
I'm not losing my mind.
No, you're not. No, you're not.
Russell.
You're seeing exactly what's happening, and it's only starting in the automotive industry because it's become what it is. It was never this before.
But the VSC industry did it. The last 5 years, if you look back on the VSC providers, there's tons of shifting there. So there's been a lot
Oh my gosh. Look who just joined. Shh. No, go ahead, Gary. I'm sorry.
No. But I'm saying the VSC industry just went through it within the last 5 or 6 years with all of their shifts and moves and things like that. So you are correct. You are correct.
Okay, what is VSC? It eludes me. What is that?
Vehicle service contract business.
Yeah, I need one of those. So if somebody could help me out,
I'll
actually.
send you a QR code. You can buy it yourself at cost.
Will it, yeah, but I'm serious. I want to,
And I'm serious too.
Okay.
You can just buy it right on my site.
okay.
Having
Are
said
we-
that, so going back to the original conversation about AI and basically how are we using it? We're using it, as Russell said, it's been around for 80 years. There's machine learning, there's this, there's that, there's all kinds of things that are out there. And it's how we're involving it and how much human interface are we putting into it, because that's the important thing. It should be considered augmented intelligence, not anything else other than that. It should augment what we are doing to provide better service to the customer. Jeff Shearer has a phenomenal system, and building out more systems that are all boutique built that are incredible to just help us. It's really and think about it. And Jeff says it best. call up the restaurant, and the restaurant can pull up your order, your last 3 orders, can pull up when you ordered them. Was it late night? Was it during the day? Was it this? What are you gonna more likely gonna order this time because of the timing, because of everything? And then prompt the individual to offer that to you. Or on the bot, turn around and say, hey, Mr. Smith, you know what? Last time you ordered this pizza, we've actually we just added this to the menu. Would you like to try it? Well, because you're such a great customer, we'll give it to you at 50% off. Why aren't we implementing that into our business? And that's something, Jeff, you can answer.
Well, and it's, you know, we're not pushing out humans, but because we're human, we're not going to bat 1,000% at the plate, you know? However, voice AI agents do fill in those 10 fields that we want to know on every phone call, you know, so they do bat 1,000.
Absolutely.
At least, you know,
Absolutely.
question every single time. So, you know, one of my mentors says it's like a car wash. You know, you go in and it's process every single time. It's the same. And, you know, that I think the answer is, and a lot of this too, is that these dealers are scared, you know, to make a change. And, you know, when they hear the word, and Gary, I was resonating when you were talking, like FTC, they want to stick their fingers in their ears and go, la, 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 la.
Exactly.
When they get a call that their $50,000 vehicle was stolen because nobody verified the consumer's identity and there was synthetic fraud because they failed to do the checks and balances at the beginning. The government says verify identity. The states say you need insurance. Why would you leave that for the end? And that's what most of the dealers today still do. Doesn't make sense to me when you got AI that you can take 3 clicks, you can take a selfie, a picture of a valid driver's license, and a current insurance card, and AI will go through gathered technology, little plug for those guys, and in 50 seconds, they'll verify the consumer's identity, whether they have insurance, they'll biometrically see if they're fraud, and then now you know what you got. And then if the customer,
That's technology, but point being, Gary, you can load your contract in and in 10 seconds ask AI, what am I missing?
sure,
Where, oh,
it's
you know, forgot to get this box checked, basically, you know, so it just does what humans can do faster, more consistently. And, you know, again, everybody's worried about, I think the, you know, replacement of humans has kind of subsided some because, you know, some people starting to understand what AI is. But I say this all the time, and, you know, Mike, you can echo me. I don't know, you know, dealers' mentality is, I don't know what AI is, but I know I need it. Right, Russell? You know, and it's okay, yeah, you do, and you've been using it unbeknownst to yourself, but now let's put it to work for you.
right. Harness it. Harness the AI engine. Like
Yeah.
John Deere has an engine in their tractors to harvest the land. And that's the difference. Using AI, I'm going to go on Wendy's show because the human element is AI makes our brains work correct and it doesn't break down and we don't have any emotional things that we have to deal with. Why wouldn't we want to have something smarter, quicker, and faster to do it? And that's all that AI does for us. And that's wonderful. Use it, speed up, but no one has to go away. You just have to use it. The people that go away are the ones that don't want to touch it. Now you need people that are willing to touch it. And then it's not a doing. I mean, it's this is the difference. AI does the job. People sometimes do, and people sometimes don't. And if you don't have great leadership in dealerships, you have terrible customer service. And the consumer loses because they're waiting around for hours because the dealer doesn't have their processes in order and they're piecemealing it and everybody gets frustrated. That's the difference.
So again, back to AI, and someone said dealers been using it and had no idea that they had it. They were anti when they didn't know that they had it. Now that they've heard the term AI for the last 2 years out in the open, they want it, but they've already had it, but they don't understand it. So how do they use it without understanding it? It's like anyone can play hockey, but if they don't understand the game, they'll never make the team. The one of the greatest things that I got actually Trent Cannon, the Ford Direct, was talking about something on one of the other clubhouse rooms. He asked me to give my opinion, and he said, for whatever reason, that I was an expert in that field, which I wasn't, but he did say that, and I appreciated it. And then I get a call from John Ellis. Can you help this dealership out in Pittsburgh? I said, sure. What do they want? AI for their BDC. And I went, okay. What do they want? Well, I don't know. So I did a mystery shop on the dealership in Pittsburgh, and specifically did it at a specific time that they weren't available and that they'd have to get back to me. I wanted to see if they needed AI, if they were doing the right job, if they were doing a whole bunch of things. They failed all the way along, right to the point where I said, salesman, get me a salesman. Within 2 minutes, I had a salesman on the phone to me. 2 minutes. It was incredible. And then I had an appointment to talk to the general manager and the GSM about their solution. And it was 10 days later. After I hung up the phone with the salesperson, I was never contacted again. I wasn't contacted by the salesperson, the management, the BDC, nobody contacted me. By the time the meeting came around, I explained that it wasn't an AI thing, it was an actual process thing, that no one was running with a specific process to get it accomplished, because going back and forth through AI is not going to help you. And then, funny enough, 9 weeks later, the salesperson reached out to me and said, "Hey, you still in the market for that BMW?" And I said, "No," but that's the problem, because we're not defining a process to have AI integrate with our current solutions. It's already there. It's already teeing up the calls. It's already doing everything that we need, but we're not integrating the human side of it. And the human side it's the Pareto principle. It's 20% AI to 80% human, because I'm sorry, my AI is not going to talk to your AI to get me the car that I want to drive. I'm sorry, it ain't going to happen. At some point in the whole realm of it, we're going to have a human integrate into the process, that we're going to be talking with a human to complete the deal.
Hey, Peter, before we get Martha involved, it's so nice to see her. It really shouldn't be that shocking, because I think we'll all agree that so many dealers don't have any processes in place. Forget about AI.
Yeah.
They don't have a steady setup where, and listen, if you're not consistent in your behavior and your processes, and if someone's not checking them on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, and a monthly basis, you're setting yourself up to fail. I mean, it's tough enough to do this stuff if you're keeping track of it. Martha, what are your thoughts? And it's very nice to see you.
You're muted, Don.
Muted.
Oh, there we go. Nice seeing you all. You are absolutely right, Larry. And Peter. dealerships have a tendency to want it, and I said it this morning, to want it to buy everything that is available sometimes when they don't even know how to use it, but most importantly, how they're going to handle it. And if you don't have a process where, the AI is going to go and do the reach out, and you're going to be able to take that information and maximize that opportunity, right? The beauty about AI is that it's able to reach to so many people at the same time. So it saves you. It saves you on the hunting game, right? But once that opportunity is put in front of you, what type of training are we giving our BDCs, our salespeople? What type of process are we going to implement? But most important, how are we going to keep them accountable? Because it doesn't matter if the AI does the outreach. Once that is served on your plate, if you don't do something with that to cook a meal right away, it's going to go cold. Like Peter said, what's the point of they call you in 2 minutes, they call you in 1 minute? I always tell them it's not about the speed of answering to a lead, it's about how efficient are going to be. We want to be fast, but we want to be efficient. And we want to follow up. And that's the problem. I have done countless of, mystery shops to dealerships, and some of them, they get back to me right away. Some of them, the salespeople answer all the questions the right way. They have proper training on how to overcome objections, but they don't follow up. And it's the same thing in the service department. They call you because they want an estimate on parts or labor for a specific, repair, and we don't follow up. Sales and service are no different on how you're going to process this incoming calls, because at the end of the day, you want to sell something. You want to sell the service or you want to sell the car, right? So if you don't stay on top of the customer, were you looking for an estimate on how to do, a transmission or alternator? Okay, you know what? This customer may be calling you and other 10 shops to see who's the cheapest. What are the tools that you have to compare prices? But are you going to follow up? And that's the thing. We don't want to, managers don't like that part. Managers don't lie when you come and tell them, and this is when it comes very hard from BDC, because we come and tell them the truth. We come and tell them what we see. We come and tell them where the flaws are at and what it can be done or help them to resolve these issues. And they don't like being told that. They're like, oh no, we're doing everything the perfect way. They don't realize how many opportunities on both of the sides are losing just because they do like the process and paper, but they don't want the hard work and keeping their people accountable, because they want to keep everybody happy. And at the end, it's important to be happy. We want that environment, right? But just letting them do whatever they want to do is not going to sell you, and it's not going to help you to perform better.
Martha, if you keep them happy at the expense of a process, you're keeping them broke.
Exactly.
And to be fair, though, the lack of follow-up usually only happens on days of the week that have the word day in it. Other than that, the salesmen are pretty good.
They call exactly, yes.
Hey, listen, we've been talking about AI and the human side of AI, and we got Miss or Mrs. Human side of AI, and we haven't heard a peep from Ms. Reeves. Would you please illuminate and elucidate, please?
I was just looking at my list I wanted to bring up. I actually made a list this time because there's just so much and I want to stay focused, and I'm trying to choose what I should bring up most, what I should prioritize. But we had such a great call this morning. I don't even know how many people were in the room, but it was such a wonderful mixture of dealership people and providers and other automotive people and even the novice. So what I want to do is I want to break it down to simplify, to say, how are you using AI? I want to talk about what I'm doing to help people get over the fear, because sadly what's happening is there's a gap that we have to bridge now between our BDCs and AI, or our dealership people and AI, the same as it was sales and BDC or service and BDC, where when BDCs get launched, the sales thinks they're going to lose opportunities. And then we start flooding the showroom or the service lane with traffic, and then they're juggling, and then they're like, oh my God. And then they can't handle them because they're not used to it. And it's just the same thing going on with AI. They're apprehensive. They're afraid. They think it's going to take their jobs. So first of all, as far as compliance, there was the AI Consent Act that got shut down for now. But there's going to be that going into law that they started in March of 24, where you're going to have mandatory, you're going to have consent. You're going to have to opt in and out to agree to have your data or your input or your whatever used to create AI training and stuff like that. There are people out there using AI on a public open AI model that they're putting all their content out there for use by others in their spaces or by just anybody. They're not even protecting it because everybody's just jumping in without any focus or any know-how. And like to go to mergers and acquisitions, absolutely positively what I'm noticing most, because telephony systems and call tracking systems and training platforms for internet sales and BDC are in my wheelhouse. They're buying up all of those because the telephony companies that are buying up the phone recording companies that have data that's amassed the last 20, 25 years, they're using it to feed their AI models to be able to analyze dealer calls, etc. I'm using it I'm teaching my BDMs how to build their own bots, for coaching their sales BDC teams using their own training and their own private ones, so that their agents can ask questions as if they were talking to their BDM that wasn't available. And we're building service AI bots, like my couple Mazda stores here in Arizona that we use, a couple of April stores actually, we are using to ask about scheduled maintenance questions. We pumped all that into the brain, and you can do that with your lines that can aid your teams. And these are things that are super easy to start that will help gain trust and belief in the beauty of using AI as a companion or as an assistant, process assistant, that kind of thing. I've used it for my dealer clients. One guy said 1 month, and I've brought this up before, one of my Ford guys was like, hey, do you do radio ads? And I said, sure. So I created it with ChatGPT Pro, and this was a couple of months ago already. I'm like, how do you like it? And he goes, it's great. It's just what I wanted. And I said, super. I said, ChatGPT Pro. I said, when you're ready, I'll either do it for you next month or I can show you how to do it. But what I want to talk about more so is like all these companies that are using all these things to analyze your calls and everything. Like, I mean, who's policing it? Because that's where the human side comes in. It's such a long onboarding process, to April's point this morning. It takes forever because you got to police it for a long, long time because it makes mistakes. You got to make sure that it's repping you the way you want to be repped. And this is even when they're building these CDPs within their CRMs and stuff. The idea of mining your database to spark engagement for your inactive customers, that's what I like the most, because you don't have to have a lot of process information to engage, right? But I'll tell you something interesting. I've had just as many people now that come to me for strategy. Go ahead, Peter. Or somebody leaving?
Yeah, me.
Peter.
Hi, Jeff.
Yeah.
Oh, who?
Peter.
Me.
Who?
Peter.
You?
Yes.
Oh,
Bye.
bye, Peter. You're leaving your own call. Sorry, did I bore you?
He's starting another one.
Okay. Anyway, the other thing is you have to be careful. Like, engagement is great, but I lost my train of thought. Thanks, Russell. I must have the same affliction. But engagement is great, I think, as long as you hand it off in a timely manner to your people on your team so that it's seamless. But the problem is, and that's why they're offboarding AI products as fast as they're onboarding them still 18 months later, is because they're not repping them the right way. They're not onboarding the teams within the dealership. So you know what's going to happen is that they're going to need people like myself, people with, or somebody with the type of knowledge that's going to be able to help them to monitor, to be able to, be like a 911 call for a BDC agent that doesn't know what to do because their AI is not, because it's goofing up or it's doing whatever. So it's an exciting field. There's lots of really fun things going on. You can start in very simple ways. Another thing for acquisitions and stuff like that, if we've got buying agents, or on the BDC side for KBB ICO leads or whatever, where people want to sell their vehicles, we had a Jeep Wrangler Willys, edition that somebody wanted to trade in, and I was trying to teach my agents because it was an off brand that they didn't know, and put it into Perplexity AI, which I use a lot at Tim Hayden's suggestion, and I got all of the knowledge that they needed for that. And then also like another model about a 360-degree camera they wanted on a Ford Escape, and what year did it start, et cetera, et cetera. So there's so many tools that if we're not afraid of it and if we embrace it, it can really enhance the performance and the customer experience that we're giving our shoppers, because we're not going to pretend we have the knowledge. We're going to have the knowledge because it's at our fingertips. So I'm really excited about it. That was probably too much in too short a time, but
I love
just
it.
really,
It was fine, Wendy.
it just excites me.
Okay.
Mic drop.
That
I guess. Thanks.
just said it all.
So
Uh,
we're
so
all
who-
realizing that we need to be ahead of this curve. We need to understand, and we know we're going to see some curves and some changes, because whatever comes up, and listen, it's going to evolve quickly. Russell, I was explaining that when anti-locking brakes came in, we had to explain that it could pump physiologically way faster than the human foot, and your pedal vibrated. Well, it used to be if your pedal vibrated, you were cutting rotors. It was a bad thing. But all of a sudden, this was a good thing. And now it's evolved to where if somebody jumps in front of your car and you have the newest technology, the car stops itself. So we all know, right, that they say in the hundreds of thousands of years that human beings, or what has evolved into human beings, so on the planet, all the technology has happened like in the last 8 seconds when you look at it on a scale of all the years. Well, it doesn't decelerate, it accelerates. So who the heck knows what we're going to be talking about in 6 months or a year? So to drag your feet at this point is kind of tragic, because if you're not grasping it at the beginning when it's starting to really light everybody up, I'm afraid to think how lost you'll be. It's kind of like, Wendy, it's a very crude analogy, but it's true, I think. It's like if you don't log into your CRM, all of a sudden at the end of the month, now you got 30 or 20 or 60 people you're trying to log in, and you get so far behind and you start to get memory issues that it comes back to the old thing, do it right and do it right away. Well, it's the same thing here. Learn as much about this as you can. Nobody's going to be an expert, and there'll be some missteps. Hey, I bet you're all on the do not call list like I am, and I bet you're all peppered with calls every day from nonsense, right? You know, and by the way, I sent you Gary Silman's cell number, Russ. So I wasn't
I got
sure
it. No, thank you so much.
But listen, I don't think you need Gary Silman, because you probably get 30 calls a day to buy an extended warranty. You get the same junk calls I get, even though we're all on the do not call list. So we'll see, no matter what AI does, no matter what safeguards, we're going to see some dips and dives. And I think we're all ahead of the curve because we're willing to embrace the technology rather than be afraid of it. And we keep discussing it and throwing ideas around and listening to all the bright people, April Simmons, Wendy, Tim Hayden. These are all people that all care about the other people in their community and are smart enough to try to learn. You know, as soon as we stop learning, we're dead, right? It's like, how do you know the patient's going? That brainwave machine is even. There's no movement.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to be just fine. It's 8. Does anybody have any thoughts? If nobody does, I want to tell you, Martha, it was great to see you. It was also great to see you in New Orleans, and everybody else. Man,
Larry,
is
I
it
got
one?
something to add quick, if I may.
Thank you,
Sure,
Larry.
sure you can.
So I've been in the cutting edge of AI since we heard the 2 letters put together. And I go back to Y2K, when we were all babies, right?
You mean when it was going to be the end of the world and everything was going to crash?
Yeah. Remember that?
Okay.
But the 2 rules I heard out of that were, for doing business online, were content is king and the money is in the list. That still holds true today.
Yep.
And with AI, you have to have 3 things or run away. A scalable framework. That's the first thing I learned about 18 months ago. Combined with an automation strategy. And then the artificial intelligence. So all three, and if one is missing, run away, because there, if you're buying the shiny object without one of those scalable framework into a automation strategy and an artificial intelligence, you're going to be disappointed, no matter what dreams they're selling you. I heard this week in our training. We've got to get into the mentality of our what we're investing in as far as AI to the betterment of our business, as far as ownership, or as far as, hey, we're just renting this out. And I kind of was like, well, what does that mean? And I put it to a true or false. And when going to features, does your business own it, or are they renting it? And I came up with three different criteria. Do you own your website? Most would say, yeah, you can change it. You can go with the times. You can add stuff. You can delete stuff. For PPC ads, you're kind of renting that. You're paying per click, and the ad is there now, but it's gone tomorrow. All right. But you do get the people, hopefully, that clicked on it and is now on your list. Third-party leads. Are you renting it, or do you own when you're engaging with them, if they own the data? And blogs. We're getting very much into blogs and automating this stuff with AI that's creating tremendous traffic. SEO has changed forever now. So those type of things I'd just like to add onto the conversation. And we're in the golden age of digital marketing. The only thing I see is follow-up. And we've got to devise a system with AI to follow up. As soon as somebody calls, we know their name. We know their past overs. Okay, that's good. But we can either AI repeat that to the customer, or a human repeats that to the customer. Or you walk into the office and your first thing you see is all the people that you got to follow up on and what you're going to talk to them about. AI could do that, but we're not doing it yet.
Right.
But it's out there. So yeah, my name is Mike, and I'm dropping my mic.
Good job.
Good stuff.
Good job.
Yeah.
Thank you, Michael. Anybody have anything else? If not, boy,
Say
it was
goodnight.
great to see everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Gary. Good night, John Dunn.
Sounds like
Good
the
Good night,
Waltons
Gary.
now.
Good night, Gary.
night, everybody.
Good night,
Wendy.
John boy.
That's it, John Boy. Yeah.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Love to
Valentine's
you
Day.
all.